न्यूयॉर्क पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट के चीफ जेफ मैड्री ने न्यूयॉर्क के एथनिक एंड कम्युनिटी मीडिया के साथ खुसूसी बातचीत की है। मेयर्स ऑफिस ऑफ एथनिक एंड कम्युनिटी मीडिया और एग्जीक्यूटिव डायरेक्टर होजे बेयोना के जेर एहतमाम जूम पर होने वाली मीडिया राउंड टेबल में पुलिस चीफ ने न्यूयॉर्क सिटी के शहरियों के जानो माल के तहफ़्फ़ुज़ के हवाले से पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट के इक़दामात और पॉलिसियों से मीडिया को आगाह किया। चीफ जेफ मैड्री ने एथनिक और कम्युनिटी मीडिया के ज़रिए सिटी में बसने वाली इमिग्रेंट कम्युनिटी के मसाइल व अहम मामलात के बारे में आगाही हासिल की और कहा कि पुलिस कम्युनिटी और शहरियों की हर मुमकिन मदद के लिए हर वक्त मौजूद है और अपना हर मुमकिन किरदार अदा करने की यकीन दहानी दिलाती है। चीफ मैड्री की न्यूयॉर्क के एथनिक एंड कम्युनिटी मीडिया के साथ बातचीत और सवाल जवाब को आइए इस वीडियो में देखते हैं।
Let's start here with Queens Latino, Javier Castaño.
I noticed that on Roosevelt Avenue here in Jackson Heights, the presence of police officers is being very reinforced. I see more and more police officers in the station, but still I see people selling marijuana on the streets. I see people offering green cards and other identifications, and the police is there, but it seems to me and to the people who I talk to that the police is not reinforcing that, is not after those people.
Yes, first and foremost, thank you for your question. It's very important that we address the things that the community see and the things that beleaguer the community. So I'll definitely follow up with the borough commander over there and the inspectors over there. But we had definitely put additional police resources on Roosevelt Avenue. We saw uptick in crime. We saw uptick not only along Roosevelt Avenue, but we saw uptick along the 7 line, the train, which runs directly over Roosevelt Avenue. And believe it or not, a lot of it is based on quality of life offenses. And a lot of it starts with quality of life offenses. It starts with people going to clubs, partying, and then after the party lets out, people will come out and they're engaging in fights and other things. So Roosevelt Avenue was a priority for us in 2024. We're going to address how we patrol it. We see a lot of late night stuff on Roosevelt Avenue, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. I'm very familiar with Roosevelt Avenue. That's why I started my career at 32 years ago in the 110 precinct. And I spent the first 7 years of my career in the 110 precinct. Definitely something that we're going to look to address. And the one other thing that we know we need, some of the things that you see that you're talking about there out on Roosevelt Avenue, we need other city partners to help us. You know, we need the sheriff, we need the buildings department, we need the SLA, a state agency. We need other partners to help us address some of the things that we see on Roosevelt Avenue that's been giving us a challenge. And, you know, under Mayor Adams, he's really broke down the walls between the agencies, and we're working closer with our brother and sister agencies, closer than ever in the past. So we're going to continue to work with these agencies to address the issues along Roosevelt Avenue and improve everyone's quality of life. Thank you.
My question to you, Chief Maddrey, is with so many young people, starting to carry weapons, bring weapons to school because they're afraid traveling to and from school. How else is this bill going to impact policing, especially when it comes to providing safe corridors to our children? So that's question number 1. And a quick follow. Thank you.
Okay, so let me start with the second question. Where is this town hall located at? And I'll ensure that there's some presence out there. We try our best to police protests, especially if we think there's going to be trouble. So we usually at all protests, but just if you give me the address really quick, I'll make sure we have some presence out there. I have extensive experience working with young people in the community. And, you know, I talk to a lot of young people and I have casual conversations with them. I'll crack a joke with them. This is how I break the ice. This bill almost is going to, it's going to really, really hurt the efforts of this department, because when I sit there and I see a young person and I break the ice and crack the joke and stop them and have a casual conversation, Now I got to sit there and pull out my phone or a piece of paper and start taking notes on them. Yeah, I spoke to a young male. He was very fair-skinned. Maybe he's black, maybe he's Hispanic. Now I'm starting to do guesswork and do things that I really shouldn't have to do when I had a casual conversation that was very casual that we both walked away from and there was no problem. If I walk up to someone in the street and say, hey, was there a crowd of kids fighting up the block? And the person goes, yes, or if the person says no, whatever it is, I have to now take a moment to document that I just asked the person, did you hear some trouble or hear some disturbance up the street? And now, if I don't, if I go right to the disturbance first and I address that, now I have to go back into my phone and say, okay, the person who I asked if there was a problem, was it a Spanish person? Was it an Asian person? Was it black? Now I'm sitting here trying to guess. I'm trying to document. I'm trying to write. So I have now, this bill is going to force me to remember who I stopped for 2 seconds just to ascertain if there was trouble or not, address the trouble, and then now try to accurately write the person I stopped. I think it's going to be a problem with that. I think it's going to lead to a lot of skewed information and a lot of unnecessary information. We don't think that this bill is going to help us fight crime, or we don't think that this bill is going to help us improve community relations. It's going to be something that really hinders our officers. I have people at numerous community meetings say, oh, we see the officers on their phone. We see the officers on their phone. This bill is going to put the officers on their phone even more. So how's that going to help us do a better job at fighting crime? I don't think it's going to. So, this is something I think that's going to be the subject of continued debate and discussion. So it could hinder our efforts out there and reduce crime. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Chief. That's a great, this is a great topic about this bill, upcoming bill, that all of you are gonna listen more about it within the next few days. And this is a priority for the administration to look into this. Thank you. Next one is Radio Rampa and TV, Monica Adamski. Monica?
And I wanted to ask if there is anything that NYPD is doing or can even do in order to really affect that change, because it was repeated that this was a repeated offender who should have been in jail, and yet he committed another incident that could have been a tragedy. So I wanted to ask you specifically if NYPD can even try to influence lawmakers to do anything about changing the criminal justice systems in the state of New York. Thank you.
Thank you, and I appreciate that question. We've been very vocal about recidivism, people who are out on bail, people who are walking around who really should be in jail. Listen, I wholeheartedly support bills that are going to help people. We don't want to criminalize poverty. There are people who are arrested for low-level offenses who should not be sitting in jail. But you have other people who are caught numerous times carrying guns, people who have harmed people, physically harmed people, people who, repeatedly victimize people for their property. At what point do we say, hey, the law has to do what the law is, created for, what it was intended for, and that's to protect people. This is why we have laws. We have laws to help maintain order, and that when the time comes, we want to be able to say, hey, you have to be punished for what you did to offend the law or your repeated offenses against the law. A gentleman that we had yesterday, he was sentenced 15 years for attempted murder in the early 2000s. He served his time and he got out. Okay, and I'm all for that. You commit your crime, you pay your debt to society, you come out. But since he's been out, he was involved in another heavy criminal activity, a criminal act where he stole a vehicle. He held a correction officer hostage. There was a whole bunch of other crimes that he should be in jail for now, and that he's not. We have to really make adjustments to the law. That way they can protect the victims of crime, not the ones who break the law. We have to protect the victims first. and then find the ways to address the people who break the law.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Next one is Rusa Radio, Anna Peckerman.
I have a question and a comment on the same topic. First of all, Chief Maddrey, does the department get a lot of complaints about indecent exposure, indecent public exposure in the city of New York? Because that would be just a question, and the comment to follow up with that. I mean, realistically, it's becoming a real big problem to take children into public places anymore, such as Times Square. I mean, realistically, well, maybe not in this weather, but in the summertime, it's just something that we don't want to take a chance on doing anymore, because over there you have people who think it's just enough to paint their privates and walk around publicly and basically expose themselves, and there are children there, and the police department is there, and no one is doing anything about it. It's almost like it became the norm. So it's kind of a question and a comment. Can you please address this?
Yes, thank you for your question. And absolutely, we have active laws on the books about, indecent exposure, and we will make arrests for indecent exposure. In terms of the amount of complaints that we get during the year, I would have to get back to you with that specific data. I don't have the data in front of me, but I do have access to the data. I see those kind of complaints mostly in the subway system, the ones that I've read and come across. I know that we make arrests in the subway systems for it. It is something that we'll continue to monitor. We'll definitely take a look at the data now that you mentioned it. I'll take a specific look at the data. If I see any patterns or anything that we need to address, I'll make sure that we address it. But you're absolutely right. It is against the law. We don't want our young people to walk around and go out for a nice afternoon and see something they shouldn't be seeing. I'm a father. I'm a father of 3 daughters, and I've worked very hard to keep them from that kind of activity. We don't want them exposed to those things. And I know each and every one of you here as a parent, even if you're not a parent, you may be an aunt or uncle, big brother or sister, you do the same thing for your young underage children. You don't want them to be exposed to these kinds of things. So we'll definitely continue to work on that, and I'm glad you brought it to my attention today. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Next one is Radio Soleil, Rico Dupuy.
Yes, thank you, Chief Maddrey, for doing this. CCRB, the Civilian Control Review Board, reported a significant increase in complaints about police brutality for 2023 as compared to 2022. But they seem to explain it away in a sense that it's more technical than real, because CCRB has increased jurisdiction, so they look at more, so it's almost natural for more complaints to be registered. What's your view on that?
And I don't think it's a secret. Last year, earlier this year, CCRB said I abused my authority in a case. And I got a CCRB against a group of people who I never even had contact with. So just imagine how I feel that I'm fighting a CCRB and I never even actually had contact with people. So, I think you have to really look at each individual CCRB. The expansion of CCRB, I think it's really, really broad. That's my personal opinion. I think it's very broad. And like I said, me personally, I got a CCRB from a group of people who can't even say that, yeah, he was rude to us, he did this, he did that, because I never had contact with him. So, I think all these CCRBs really have to be looked at individually. We have to really understand what happened during the encounter and then let them go through the process. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Next one is El Diario, Fernando Martinez. El Diario, are you on?
Yeah, here.
Hi.
Hello, hi. Thank you for the opportunity. Many complaint the complaint is very increased about the proliferation of motorcycle, the mopeds in all the city. every day in the Hispanic community in the Midtown Manhattan is very common. The complaint for the people because the motorcyclists in the sidewalk because don't follow the rules. The new complaint is many times the neighbor call to the police, the 311 or 911 for put the complaints, and the answer is we can doing nothing. What is your vision about this issue in the city?
Yeah, thank you for your question, sir. The enforcement of illegal motorcycles, illegal mopeds, and dirt bikes is a difficult one. So, if an officer says we can't do nothing about it, that's definitely not true. We have done a lot about it, and we will continue to do a lot about it. When I became the chief of patrol in June of 2022, that was what I took on as a mission. Hey, what can I do to improve this city? And my team and the chief of patrol's office, we said, hey, we're going to, address the illegal dirt bikes and illegal motorbikes. And like I said, since that point, we've taken well over 20,000, probably even more, because I don't have the data in front of me. We took significant amounts of the motorbikes, the dirt bikes, the illegal bikes, and people have told us that they've seen it improved in the quality of life, that they've seen a difference in Midtown and stuff. But it's something that's tough because we take the bikes and the next day they're back out there again. We take them and they come right back out. So when things like this happen, this is where we need stronger legislation to address that. Stores shouldn't be allowed to sell them. Gas stations shouldn't be allowed to provide them with gas because they're illegal. So we're going to let an illegal bike get filled up with gas so they can go back on the street. We need stronger legislation to help support the efforts of the NYPD. Because like I said, not only do our average officers, it's kind of difficult for them to take them because a lot of times they don't have the resources. You need more than just 2 officers to do it. We trained a group of officers to go out as a team, 10 officers, 15 officers, multiple cars, and they're specially trained to block off the bikes, to get in front of them, to go after them that way. So we could do something about it, but it's just a little bit more difficult for us to do because it takes a lot of people to do. It takes special training to do, but we need some stronger laws to help support that as well.
Thank you, Chief.
All right. Thank you.
Next one is Weekly Bengali, Koshit Ahmed.
Hi, Jose. Hi, Chief Maddrey. Good afternoon. Let me refer to the Brownsville's domestic violence and where 2 police officers were shot. So what is your plan? This is NYPD's plan to control this type of domestic violence.
We're going to, we're going to definitely increase our outreach. We have domestic violence units in every precinct. We have a domestic violence unit that falls out of my office under the direction of Chief Melissa Eager. We're definitely going to increase our outreach. We're going to work closer on our communities. And we definitely have to work closer with our partners out there. We need the churches, the CBOs, our violence interrupters to help get the right message out that, domestic violence isn't a good thing and that it ultimately hurts our communities. And like I said, if you look at what happened yesterday in Brownsville, where, you had a son and his mother, the mother was attacked by the son, and then it ultimately led to 2 police officers being shot as well as the young man being shot. We have to work better. Our family, we stress to, I stress to young people in the street, hey, we can talk things out. We don't have to turn the guns. That starts with the families, most importantly. Families have to know how to talk things out, work things out. Parents and children, husbands and wives, we have to learn how to work together better. We'll be using our outreach and our partnerships in the communities to kind of work on that. It's definitely going to be one of the things we want to work on. It was up last year. We had an increase in domestic violence, and it's something that we really have to increase our outreach and our education on to help out our families out here. We want our family units to be strong, and domestic violence is one of the easiest ways to weaken a strong family.
Thank you, Chief. Next one is the BK Reader, Sawari Morris. Sawari, you're on. Okay, we're gonna come back to Sawari. Now we go with the research show, J.R. Fitzgerald.
I think we have a mental health crisis going on right now, not only in the city, but in the country and in the world. What initiatives are being used for that? Because when you come up in a situation like a domestic crisis, 9 out of 10 times, it's a mental health challenge. Are you guys, is NYPD equipped with people to deal with such circumstances?
Thank you for your question. You know, the NYPD, we go through, a series of training to deal with people with mental health issues. But the reality is, we're not a mental health organization. People who are trained to deal with mental health go to school for years. You go to school for years, you earn certain certifications. But for the police department, our job is really to go there, to identify that, hey, there may be a mental health crisis. And then our job is to get them over to a counselor, get them to a hospital, get them to someone that can give them the services that they need. If they don't need to go to jail with us, they need services to address their condition. They may need medicine, but again, that's up to for a doctor, a psychiatrist, a mental health provider to determine. We do go through training. We do discuss it at our roll calls that, hey, when you're out here, you're going to run into people who have these problems, and it's up to us to make sure we get them the help. I think it's very important that we train our families. You have families, and this is where we need the help from our CBOs, our partners out there. You have families that have people who are suffering from mental illness. And, when you have a family member and you know that they're suffering, you have to make sure they get to the hospital fast. If you're waiting for them to start becoming violent or becoming irrational, now you call the police, it's too late. We want you, if you realize that, hey, this person hasn't taken their medicine, or maybe they acted a little strange today, before they really, get to that point where they become violent or they become irrational, you should really try and get them to a hospital, get them some help. Like I said, like I tell people all the time, once we get called, usually the person's a little too far gone. They're already irritated. They're upset. Maybe they're becoming violent, and the family members start to call the police. You have to get them the help even before that. Once we're called, it kind of lets us know that it's at a point where you couldn't handle it anymore, and now we're coming in. It's important that we are all educated on mental health and how we can help the people around us, our loved ones, and even strangers when we see things that's not right, not appropriate, and people need help.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you. Next one is Muslim Community Report, Sheikh Musa Dramed.
And Chief, I have a question concerning, the proliferation of these illegal weed shops that have created so bad situation in our communities, and even violence and quality of life. And I really want to offer, if there anything that we, the ethnic media, especially the Muslim ethnic media, since most of them happen to be Muslims, if we can help you out, because we really, really need, to address this, because a lot of young kids are dying, in these shops because of violence, and they create, really quality of life nightmare. So I'm offering anything that we can do, to help out. And my question is, in terms of grab and go, last year, small businesses suffer so much because of lawlessness, from these individuals who are not afraid of walking to these business establishments and really take what they want, and with violence. And is there anything that is new this year that NYPD planning to do to protect these small businesses that we depend on? Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Thanks for your comment, and thank you for offering your help. Just to touch a little bit on the smoke shops before I talk about the grab and go. The smoke shops, and when I talk about we need help from legislation, we need help from the lawmakers. a lot of things we can't address because the laws wasn't put out properly to allow us to address issues that go along with smoke shops. Smoke shops was a major problem for us 2022 and 2023. We've seen a significant amount of violence in smoke shops, in front of smoke shops. Smoke shops, victims of robberies. I mean, it's a cash business. So everyone knows, the bad guys know that you have nothing but cash in there, and a lot of them are interested in taking the weed as well. It's an industry that needs to be heavily regulated. That way, not only will it protect the communities, it'll protect the people that work in there. And I'm not against the business, I'm pro-business. But these businesses have to be regulated in a manner that they're safe. They're safe for the people who own and run the business, and they're safe for the communities as well. So thank you for offering your assistance on that. And then the second part of your question, smoke shops. The second part just eluded me. Just remind me the second part again. I'm sorry.
The second part was the grab and go, the lawlessness.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Just that quick. I'm getting old. I got a birthday next week. I'm getting old. The grab and goes. Chief Michael Petrie, the Chief of Crime Control Strategies for the department. This is really his area of expertise. He's put significant energy, significant effort into this. Last year, we reduced our incidents of petty larceny in stores, but unfortunately, we made more arrests. So, with the crime, the actual complaints are going down, but the arrests are going up. So, that's a correlation to me that, we want to see it all go down. We want it all to go down. We want the crime to go down. We want the arrests to go down. It's not a victimless crime. It's not a victimless crime. I went to Rite Aid yesterday to buy some Tylenol because my shoulder was hurting, and I had to wait 10 minutes for someone to come and open the plastic thing. It really impacts the quality of life as well. I could have literally went into the store. The store was empty. I could have went in there, grabbed what I needed, walked, paid for, and been out the store in 2 minutes, and it became a 10-minute ordeal. 10 minutes that I didn't have. We're going to continue to work with our small businesses. We're going to continue to address the recidivists. We're going to continue to address the recidivists. And I think just as a community, as a city, if we have someone who needs help, if they're going to the store to steal a loaf of bread or a thing of bologna so they can make a sandwich, I think we have to find resources to offer people some food and some assistance. We don't want our community starving. I know I don't want anyone starving, and I'll dig in my pocket to help anybody out who's hungry if I walk into a store. We have to make sure we find ways to give people the assistance they need. But the people, the prolific stealers, people who are going in and stealing and then turn around selling it, making money off of it, organized crews that are doing this, they need harsher consequences. They need harsher consequences because they're affecting the quality of life of our businesses. They're shutting down businesses in our community. When you shut down businesses in our community, you could shut down anywhere from 2 to 10 jobs. And I think it has a greater impact on our city, our communities. So we have to work together to make sure we continue to deal with this. We have a retail theft task force that Chief Michael Petrie, he's a big part of, and he can speak with specificity the next time we have a roundtable like this. But we definitely have some initiatives under Chief LePetrie's lead to make sure we reduce this.
Thank you, Chief. Next one is SNES Media, Irina Skurhan.
Hi.
Irina.
Yes.
Oh,
Thank you
hi.
so much for taking the time to hear our concerns and listen to our questions. Mine is about your administration confirmed that they are exploring the possibility of adding a new precinct to complement the 109. I'm curious if you have a timeline for this process and where you are currently, and if you've explored some locations for where the new precinct could be.
Hi, yes, thank you for that question. I know there was some talks, but I don't have the specifics. The 109 is a very, very, geographically a huge precinct. It definitely would benefit everyone if we split it into 2 and add another precinct there. But in terms of specifics, I don't have, but I could definitely get back to you on that. Or I can get you tied into our strategic initiatives unit who will have answers on that.
Thank you, Chief. We will follow up on that. So next one is Korean Radio, Jun Jong-chun.
Korean leaders in New York include New York Korean Association held a protest on the 29th of last month, demanding a quick arrest of the suspect and strong punishment in connection with stabbing incident of a Korean beauty supply business owner in the Bronx. Through the rally held in front of the K beauty supply business located I think the White Plains Road in the Bronx, where the incidents occurred. The Korean community took this attack as an opportunity to demand the safety, justice, and condemnation from the city and states governments, the police. So we demanded the strong actions against the deserving crimes. So in particular, it was emphasized that the radical hate crimes targeting Asian and others that have more than double compared to before the COVID-19 pandemic. So are you any follow-up actions from the NYPD since then, or any new plans for the future policing? And I have one more.
Yeah, only one per reporter now.
Okay, you know what? In terms of the specific incident that occurred last month, I don't have the information with me. I would have to follow up with Chief Joe Kenny, the Chief of Detectives, to see where we are with the case. But listen, you know, this department takes hate crimes seriously. We have a dedicated hate crimes unit. I was the Chief of Community Affairs when we were seeing the uptick with the Asian hate crimes in the Asian community around the time of the pandemic in 2020. I went over and visited with the Asian community, the Korean community as well out in Queens, because we support, you know, all communities and every ethnic background on this call. We support all of you. I support all of you. And we're going to always continue to do whatever we can do to stomp out hate. Nothing bothers me more in the world when a person is attacked just for who they are or who they love. That's not what this world should be about or all about. All right. And we're going to do everything we can do to protect people from hate crimes.
All right.
Thank you, Chief.
One more question.
We'll come back to you because we only have 40 more minutes for this, and we'll come back to you. So the Jewish Star next, Ed Winthrop.
When police make a moving vehicle stop for such things as tinted windows or improper license plates, there's the risk of a dangerous encounter and also allegations of improper targeting. Why don't police and parking enforcement officers who work for the police department more actively target summons illegal vehicles when they are parked, when there's little chance of a confrontation? Gersh Kuntzman of Streets Blog has created a whole series of videos specifically targeting, documenting vehicles with obscured or phony license plates. Why not ticket or even tow such vehicles?
I agree with you. We have vehicles out there with fake plates, phony plates. We should be taking them away. I'm not familiar with the websites you're talking about. I would like some more information on that. But absolutely, you know, vehicles with fake plates are problematic for us. A lot of our crimes that are committed throughout this city are with vehicles with fake plates, which we commonly refer to as ghost vehicles. And we have taken a significant amount of ghost vehicles off the street. A lot of times, most times when people are driving them, many times when the cars are parked, it is something that we'll continue to do because not only does it increase public safety, it increases police officer safety. So, you know, if you can send me that information, I'd like to take a look at it. Like I said, I have a whole traffic enforcement unit that's dedicated to ticketing parked cars, and we'll work on, you know, towing these vehicles away as well.
Thank you, Chief. Next one is New York Amsterdam News, Tandy Lau. Tandy?
Hey, how's it going? Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you so much for taking our questions, Chief. Our question is basically up here in Harlem and Uptown. We saw Manhattan North. Homicides are down, but well, homicides are up, but gun violence is down. And I think that usually those two are pretty lockstep. They're usually, intertwined. I'm curious why you think that is. And specifically, you mentioned intimate partner violence, domestic violence. I'm curious if that has to do with the uptick in homicides, even as gun violence is down here in here uptown.
Yes, Harlem had a good reduction in shooting violence, but unfortunately we lost a few more people. I don't believe, when we talk about correlations, gun violence, homicides being down, I have to look a little closer at each of the homicides in Manhattan North to really give you a little bit of a stronger answer. But Harlem, Northern Manhattan did well last year with reducing crime. And, we just had them in for CompStat last week. Your borough commander, Chief Stevenson, he's leading a phenomenal team up there, and he's going to continue to push down that crime, push down shootings, and push down homicides. And he's going to work to address domestic and intimate partner violence as well. So, just in terms of exactly what happened, I don't have the information in front of me. I don't have my notes. I'm actually doing this Zoom from a location outside of One Police Plaza, so I don't have the luxury of my staff and my team out there to hand me notes as needed. But I didn't want to miss this call, so I stopped where I was at and jumped on the call to make sure I address your needs. But we'll take a look at that, and I'll get a stronger answer for you. Maybe I'll plug you in with Chief Stevenson, and he can give you some more specifics as to what exactly happened. I believe they were up 10 homicides this year compared to last year, but they were down a significant amount of shootings.
Yes, thank you, Chief. And we will follow up on that. Famoud, that is on this call, he will connect with all of you that need follow-ups on that. We have the last two questions now for this. Rick O'Connor from the Roosevelt Islander. Rick?
Yeah. Hi, thank you, Jose, and thank you, Chief. Chief, I was wondering, why do you think there's still this perception among many New Yorkers of crime being rampant? And there's a fear, going on the subway and sometimes just walking around the neighborhood when the statistics are showing that crime is down recently. Where does this perception come from, in your opinion?
I have to blame you guys, the media. Unfortunately, when you look at the news, I could tell you, I have some days where I go out to 10 great events, maybe 10 a little, I'm exaggerating. I'll go to 6 or 7 great events, and then we'll have one tragic shooting. And the only thing that's going to be reported is that tragic shooting. They'll never say, hey, look what we did, how many scholarships was given. Look at what this community did in terms of bringing communities together, a young generation and older generation. Look how the cops, our community affairs, they did a bunch of baby showers over the summer where they opened up public spaces and provided gifts and resources to young mothers and mothers to be, fathers to be, who may not have the resources to get a stroller, a walker, diapers. And we get no press on that. We get no coverage on that. If a community is down in crime, they won't talk loudly with bold and strong voices about, hey, our crime is down, we're doing a great job. We just continue to see, hey, we had a senseless shooting, we had a senseless homicide. So that's what the community gets. That's what they read. That's what they receive. So that's what they're going to take out with them when they go out during the day. I think, and we have a duty to report anything, anytime something negative happens, if something dangerous happens, we have a moral obligation to report that. But I think the community deserves to hear great things that go on in the communities. And it doesn't even have to be specifically with NYPD. just great things in our community that's showing that our communities are turning around and going the right way. I mean, listen, we went through a tough time in 2020 with the pandemic and all the things I believe that the pandemic exposed. I believe a lot of gun violence came out behind the pandemic. I believe a lot of crime increased because of the pandemic when people were walking around with masks and were able to take an opportunity, take advantage of, hey, I'm wearing a mask and I'm walking into your store. Prior to 2019, if a person walked into a store with a mask on, the store owner would throw them out. And it became a common thing where they walked in with masks and it became a criminal thing. You know, we saw mental health explode. I mean, a lot of things were taken away from us during the pandemic. Our ability to go to churches and pray. We lost community icons, loved ones, and it really impacted on our city, I believe. And I think a lot of things are turning around where communities are coming back out and working collectively together, but we don't hear about that more enough. And people still believe that bad things are happening, and they are happening, but there's a lot of good things that are happening too that need to get reported on equally.
Thank you, Chief. The last question goes to Proton Alon Ibrahim Chowdhury.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Commissioner Joam and Chief. Thanks for having us. I have a very small question. Our community people sometimes they complain about the response time after a 911 call for any emergency. My question is there any statistics? What is the average response time on that? Thank you.
You know what? I don't have the average, but I actually just had a conversation with the Chief of Patrol, Chief Shell, about 2 days ago about response time. Because I became aware of a specific incident where someone waited 2 hours for the police. That is unacceptable, and it's something that I'm going to be monitoring. The Chief of Patrol is going to be monitoring, and we're going to hold our commanding officers highly accountable for that. No one in this city should wait that long for the police, absent extenuating circumstances. Yesterday, we had 2 police officers shot. So yes, it was going to impact our response time. And I think the community would understand and accept that, hey, there was a very bad situation where multiple people were shot and injured. But, you know, barring that exception, people should not have to wait that long for the police. It is something that I'm going to personally work on with the Chief of Patrol, the Chief of Housing, and the Chief of Transit. Our communities, all right, deserve a prompt response from the police, absent exceptional circumstances. And we're going to work on that. We're going to work on that. That is not acceptable.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you,
Chief,
sir.
do you wanna provide closing remarks, short closing remarks for the group right now?
I'll just say really quick, thank you, Jose. Thank you. To all the journalists on here from the ethnic media. It was really a pleasure. It's something I will do this with you again. No questions asked. I'll do this with you again. I'll be a little bit better prepared. I'll be in my office. I'll have my statistics. I'll be able to answer things. You could even send some advanced questions, especially if you need data and numbers. That way I'll be a little better prepared. But this is absolute. I believe this is necessary. I want you to really get into our communities and get into our neighborhoods and really explain to them exactly what the police department is doing and how we're willing to come out to the communities and help the communities. All right. I've probably been to all your neighborhoods, and if I haven't, you give me a call. I promise you I will come to your neighborhood and I'll come and talk to the community and meet with the community and personally address how we can make things better. That's what I do. I work closely with communities to solve problems. So I'm looking forward to doing this again in the future. I'll work with Jose and we'll schedule something where we could do this again. But I would love to sit down with our ethnic media, our more local papers, and make sure we get the right information to our communities and make sure they know who's in their community to serve them, who their NCOs are, their neighborhood coordination officers are, who their youth coordination officers are, who their commanding officers are. Everyone in our neighborhood should know when the community council meetings are held. They should go there at least once every 2 or 3 months if they don't go there regularly, to communicate and talk with the police and work with the police to solve community issues. We cannot do this without you. We cannot solve problems in the community without you. So we should do this regularly and work together to help address problems in our neighborhood and our communities. So thank you all. Thank you for taking the time to hear me speak and ask me questions. I'm looking forward to doing this again in the future.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, everybody. See you later.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.